This is Glasgow Rangers Nation. I am Owen James, and this is all your latest Old Firm match day news. That's right, guys. It is Old Firm Day. It is match day as Rangers cross the city to that stinking pile of whatever you want to call it on the other side of the city to take on that lot. Who shall remain nameless in green and white, green and grey, whatever what colours you want to call it. I know that'll get me some criticism from some holier-than-thou podcasters on this side of the city, but hey, I don't give a monkeys because I hate Celtic. Right, so we're going to look obviously ahead to the game today. That is obviously the top news from today's obviously stories, today's Rangers news. We're going to look as well at what Philippe Clement said about Yanis Hagi in his press conference, a little bit of bits and pieces from the presser yesterday. We're also going to look at obviously Nadim Bajrami's arrival and what he's had to say about his arrival at Ibrox. And we've got the official pictures, guys. We've got the scarf picture. We've got the shirt picture. He is official. But I want to start off with some sad news. News last night, Saturday night, that former footballer and present Adana Sport manager Sol Bamba, who many of you will remember, played obviously in Scottish football with Hibernian, with Dunfermline, in English football with Leeds United, for example, has passed away at the age of only 39. Very, very sad indeed. Sol apparently died after a short illness in Turkey. Now, apparently Sol had in the past beaten cancer, but, you know, absolutely dreadful news to hear that, you know, one so young has been taken from us. You know, he's only 39 years old. The guy's younger than me. You know, he's also a father, a husband, you know, as well as a football manager and ex-player. And, you know, it's absolutely dreadful, you know, when something like this happens. And one can only imagine what his poor wife, Chloe, and their children are going through at this awful time for them. And we obviously send our love and best wishes to the family. Our love and best wishes from everyone here at Glasgow Rangers Nation goes to Chloe and the family. And to all of Sol's family, no matter where they are. Obviously to Sol, we say rest in peace, brother. You know, it's just dreadful, absolutely dreadful. You know, like I said, when anyone's taken from, you know, this world at such a young age, which 39 is, you know, 39 is still a very young age. You know, the guy still had a lot of life ahead of him. And I mean, no words on what this short illness was that he'd suffered from. But like I said, he had in the past beaten cancer, but just absolutely dreadful news. So sad to read this, so sad to hear this news. And like I said, our thoughts and prayers go to the family of Sol Bamba. Dreadful news, guys. Obviously, you know, get your best wishes in to Sol and his family in the comments down below. Right, today's games let's deal with that first of all in the SPL. There were some games today, which has left the league table looking like this. So the games today, Saturday. I'm recording this Saturday night, kind of Sunday morning. It's actually, when I'm recording this, by the way, just so you know, guys, it is actually midnight when I'm recording this video. Motherwell beat St Johnstone away 2-1 to keep up their excellent start to the season. Dundee drew 2-2 with St Mirren. Ross County going down to yet another defeat, this time at home. 1-0 to Aberdeen. Aberdeen therefore sit top of the table. They're giving the table somewhat of a 1980s look to it, early 80s look to it, hasn't it? With Aberdeen having played for 1-4 on 12 points. Celtic second, played 3, 1-3, 9 points. Rangers third on 7 points. Even a win tomorrow, obviously a win today, cannot take us above Aberdeen. Can take us above Celtic though. Motherwell sit fourth on 7 points. Dundee fifth on 6th. Dundee United, who will play today on 5 points, they could climb obviously up into fourth, even into third if Rangers were to let's do the unthinkable today. St Mirren in 7th on 4 points. St Johnstone 8th on 3 points. Ross County sit 9th on 2. Hearts and Hibs and Kilmarnock down the bottom. Now I know they all play today. Who'd have thought though at the start of the season we'll be looking at a league table where Hearts, Hibs and Kilmarnock sit at the very bottom of the SPL table. Quite incredible indeed. So obviously that's the big game today, is the Rangers Celtic, the Old Firm, the 12:30 kickoff, guys. We'll obviously have it here live watch along on the channel. We'll also bring you breaking team news as well. Right, so the first news of yesterday was of course the official arrival even of Nadim Bajrami, the Albanian number 10 stroke winger that we've signed from Sassuolo, joining on a permanent contract, £4 million transfer. Some real genuine money paid across to Italy to secure the services of this Albanian international. A guy who obviously scored at the Euros, played some pretty well at the Euros for Albania in Albania's first tournament. There is Bajrami at Ibrox. That's great to see in front of the Sandy Jardine stand. He's got the scarf. He's got the jersey. Therefore, it is official. You know what we always say? It's only official when you see the jersey and you see the scarf. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have both the jersey and the scarf. Bajrami spoke about obviously arriving at Ibrox. He said, I think the team play nice football. They always want to win and they have a lot of goals towards the end of the season. And I'm here to help the team. I think I'm a player who plays offensive football, who likes to score, give assists to other players and always help the team. I have some experience and I will do my best to help the team in the future. It's nice to hear that, obviously he is very offensive minded. He wants to score goals. He wants to get assists. He wants to be a baller. He wants to be a player. He wants to be someone who goes out there and proves himself. So that's nice to hear from Nadim Bajrami. Now, according to Philippe Clement in his press conference today, Nadim will not be available for the Old Firm game today because his paperwork has not finished and finalised yet, so he cannot play. Of the two new signings that we've made in this transfer window, and obviously we've signed more, but these are the guys who were signed right at the very end. Nadim Bajrami, like I said, will not be available for this game against Celtic. However, he will be available for the next game. However, Narasheo Casanwejo, or Nena, as he was called by Philippe at the press conference today, because as Philippe Clement said, his last name is a little bit more complicated than that. Certainly is, Philippe. Like I said, it's Big Dave. He has signed in time. Now he is available to play against Celtic. However, Philippe Clement did qualify that by saying that Big Cass has only had one training session, obviously, with the team, and that has to be taken into account, obviously, when it comes to team selection in the game today. Now, that to me says that at very most we can see him on the bench. We're very unlikely to see him from the start. Clement did speak a little bit about the signing of Big Cass, or Nera. He said that that he'd obviously arrived. He brought more depth to the defensive area of the field. He said that obviously he can play as a centre back. He can also play as a right back and a left back. Very much a very flexible player. That's why people have already nicknamed him the Dutch Dujon. He can play central defensive midfield as well. Philippe Clement did also speak about the fact that Nera is someone who is used to playing under pressure, is used to obviously playing in intense atmospheres, having represented Feyenoord at the De Kuip. And I think, if anybody who's actually seen Feyenoord play, look, I'm not saying their atmosphere is as good as Ibrox, of course it isn't. But if anyone's actually seen Feyenoord play, the De Kuip is certainly an intimidating atmosphere. And, their games against Ajax, for example, are very much renowned for extreme rivalry. Nothing on the sort of the same level as Rangers Celtic, but certainly, it is a rivalry indeed. So, he is a player that brings some experience. He does, even though he's such a young player, experience of playing abroad, experience of playing in high pressure games, experience in playing in front of demanding fans. The Feyenoord supporter base are extremely demanding of their players. So, look, overall, two decent signings. I think, as Clement himself said, yes, they would have liked, I think, to bring in a 6. They talked about in the press conference today, they talked about a replacement for Lunny. That was a direct question that was asked of the manager. And the manager spoke, didn't he, about the fact that they'd obviously had conversations about that at the club, but obviously hadn't managed to get it across the line. He talked then about the fact that from within the club, they'd have to find players who are capable of playing that 6 role, of taking the position that John Lundstram filled last season. When he was pressed on that, it was interesting the comments that he made. He talked about, obviously, Connor Barron and the way he can do that. And has been doing that so far this season. He spoke about the fact that Dujon can do it. And he also spoke about the fact that the newly returned Nicholas Raskan can do it as well. He talked, though, about the fact that all 3 players, Barron, Sterling and Raskan, would do it in a different style to what Lundstram had done it previously. And he said, obviously, there was no need for the team to play as last season, which obviously is reassuring given the fact that Lundstram, in my opinion, did slow the team down and turn the team into a bit more negative and a bit more too sideways and backwards with their passing. When he appeared for them, I think. One of the most interesting things, obviously, that came out of today's press conference was the fact that Clement spoke about the fact that everyone apart from Ridvan Yilmaz is fit to play today, which is good news to get those players back from injury, to get those players back and ready to go. Now, that therefore means, obviously, that Oscar Cortez is available. He has trained with the squad. I don't think, again, he's going to be one that starts, but could be available from the bench. Nicolas Rascan is also available again after that unfortunate injury that he sustained against Ajax pre-season from that awful tackle that he got from behind. It's nice to see that we have a fully fit squad to choose from. It's nice to see that players are returning. Clement did speak, didn't he, as well, about the fact that it wasn't just about the rebuild in terms of getting players in, about getting players out. It was also about the fact of getting players fit and keeping them fit and having these players fit for the rotation, for the squad, to obviously, move the team around a little bit. He spoke about the fact that up until the end of January, Rangers will be playing, the internationals especially, who will be playing 3 games a week. So the need for rotation, the need for fitness, the need for the players to look after themselves, to be careful what they eat, to be careful with their sleep, and be careful with their whole sort of being, which is, I think, is encouraging that Rangers are obviously looking at the whole player now, not just obviously the football side of it. Very interesting, that comment that he made. And like I said, really good news, though, that Cortez is available, that Rascan is available, that Sterling is available, that Proper is available, that all these players are back, fit and ready to go for the game against Celtic tomorrow, which obviously gives us a lot of opportunities for different selections with the team. And we all know, Philippe Clement's teams historically massively hard to predict, hugely hard to predict. Now, that he was pressed on the Haji question, which was interesting indeed, his response to this Haji question. So the manager was asked about, the reintegration of Haji. He was asked about the fact that, could Haji be brought back into the squad? To which he responded, nothing has changed. We don't see him as our number 10 at this club for the next couple of years. Now, obviously, that flies in the face of what Yanis said the other day, where he talked about being ready, being willing to play, something that being communicated to the manager. Now, what this tells me is the fact that Haji obviously is saying that he wants to play, that he wants to represent Rangers, that he wants to stay at the club. But Philippe Clement is saying, as far as he is concerned, Yanis Haji has no future at the club. Look, I think it's really interesting for me that this decision has been taken, that already Clement knows in his mind that Haji has no future at this club, that he doesn't see him as a number 10, doesn't see him as a potential future 10. And he talked about, obviously, with the fact that Bajrami arrives, that obviously drops it lower down the pecking order. I still personally think that, Haji should be given opportunity. I think Haji is 10 times the player that Tom Lawrence is. I do have a slight, I have real worries over Tom Lawrence playing against Celtic today. I think if we start with Lawrence and Tavernier, I think it will be, obviously weakening the team substantially. Both those players really should not be starting against Celtic. They've proven last season that they are not fit for the challenge. So, it's interesting, isn't it, that Yanis obviously has no future, and that it seems, also from what Philippe is saying there, he talked about obviously players exiting the club. He talked about the 16 players that have gone. He talked about the fact that there are still players who are not part of the squad who will exit the club. And obviously that was directed at people like Yanis Haji. So it does seem that there is still a drive from Rangers to get Haji off the books one way or another, whether that will be terminating his contract or what happens between now, obviously, and January will be exceptionally interesting. Like I've said on a number of occasions, I think personally it's a big mistake to force Yanis out. I'd love to know why the manager is so anti-Haji. What is it about Yanis Haji he doesn't like? What is it about the player that he doesn't feel fits his system? I don't think it's to do with speed, because like I said before, Tom Lawrence is hardly the quickest and doesn't, he's not particularly good at running. I don't think that is the issue. So I'd love to know what it is, the issue between Haji and the manager. you know, the manager does seem to have a bit of a problem with these free-spirited players like Haji, like Cantwell, for example. So I don't know. I don't know what the issue is there, but it obviously appears that Haji has no future whatsoever at Rangers, which is sad, very sad indeed. Especially as obviously we can't move him on now for money. So obviously, if he is going to exit, it is obviously on a contract termination, which I think would be very bad business indeed. Especially obviously given the manager's statements today and talk about the mistakes of the past. You know, in his presser today, when he was talking about the transfer window, he talked about undoing the mistakes of the past. He talked about, you know, the fact that a number of players, I think it's 11 in total, have walked for nothing over the last 2 years. And, you know, players who had high asset value, like Ryan Kent, like Alfie Morelos, you know, were allowed to leave for absolutely nothing. You know, money that could have been generated and then was lost there, and that bad decisions were taken by the club on contracts. You know, it was interesting that Clement spoke about that, didn't he? So, you know, he's right on that one. He's 100% correct on that one. You know, look, today it's going to be tough. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind today will be an exceptionally tough game. You know, and Clement spoke as much in his presser today. He talked about the fact that obviously Celtic are, you know, a more experienced team. They've got players who've played together a lot more than, you know, obviously this squad now that has been vastly changed. You know, he spoke about that, didn't he? You know, he spoke about the fact that, you know, that even with Matt O'Reilly departing the club, which he has, you know, that it will be a change where probably someone like Pablo Bernardo comes into the team, who has played for Celtic previously. And he talked about, you know, any changes they make being for players who were here last season. So, you know, interesting times indeed. So, you know, Rangers are, like, you know, Clement said, he said they're a young, exciting, up-and-coming club ready to challenge, which was an interesting use of words. You know, he spoke about the players who are now and ready. He spoke about the players who'll be ready in the future. So, you know, interesting stuff ahead of today. And like I said, I don't want to try and second guess who the team is going to be. I mean, look, we all know, I think certain players will start, whether we want them to or not. You know, I think, you know, my views, I don't think under any circumstances that James Tavernier should be allowed to start today. I think the guy is absolutely past it. I think Tom Lawrence should also not start. I think we should go with a flat 3. Although Clement did contest the question about, you know, would the game be decided in the midfield, which I know many fans feel that it will be. I would like to see us go with a flat 3. And with Raskin fit and available again, I would like to see us go with Raskin and Diomande and Barron. You know, Barron in the 6 role, Diomande push forward more into the 10 role, and the 8 role taken by Raskin, who can go box to box, therefore leaving us free Dujon Sterling to start at right back ahead of James Tavernier. So that would be how I would like to see us go, to really match them up in midfield and go toe-to-toe with them. Because I think we've seen, haven't we, in Europe, when teams go at them, when they go toe-to-toe with them, when they rough them up a little bit, Celtic don't like it. They collapse, they give up, don't they? So I'd like to see a little bit of that today. But I don't think that'll happen. I think he'll stick to 4-2-3-1. Obviously, the other news of yesterday was the announcement of the Europa League fixtures. Rangers will begin their campaign on the 26th of September away at Malmo, 5:45 kickoff, before heading to Lyon on the 3rd of October. Then obviously come back to obviously then a home tie against FCSB, which is, you know, is Steaua Bucharest, so an away tie against Malmo, 2 home ties, another away tie away at Piraeus, again Piraeus Olympiacos on the 7th of November, then another away trip to Nice in the south of France, before some 2 very mouth-watering, tasty games indeed, Tottenham and Manchester United. Huge games. We finish at home on the 30th of January. Hopefully that's a game we still have something to play for in, against Union SG. Now, Clement did make some interesting comments yesterday, about that group draw, that fixture list. And he spoke about the fact, you know, perhaps a thinly veiled swipe at Celtic, that some of the ties that we've managed to accrue again in this Europa League are certainly more challenging and stronger than some of the ties that have been put up in the Champions League. You know, some real teams of force there, you know, some real big sides there. Lyon, Tottenham, Manchester United, Olympiacos, all, you know, massive tests for Rangers. And, you know, Clement spoke about the fact as well that will be a good test for his players and a good learning experience for his young players as well. So let me know what you think, guys. What do you think of the way that the fixtures have lined up? I think they've lined up quite nicely, actually, you know, in terms of having Malmo first. That's a game we should be winning. Lyon at home, again, another game we should be winning. Steaua Bucharest at home, again, another game we should be winning. So going into that first tough game away in Piraeus against Olympiacos, that should be 9 points and at least, 7 points minimum going into that game, to give us an opportunity to get through to the next round. So, that gives us a decent start. I mean, I would have hated to actually start with Tottenham and then Manchester United. That would have been a fairly horrific start to our Europa League campaign. Right, guys, let me know what you think of the stories we've covered in today's video down below. Obviously, we build up towards the game as the day goes on. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. Please smash the sub on the way out. Help the channel to keep on growing. At time of recording, we hit 6,400 as we aim to smash 10K this year. Also on the way out, guys, 2 favors I always ask. Number 1, smash the like for me. It helps. And number 2, remember always, we are the people.